to Occasionally Posh, where we enjoy life, laughs, and shenanigans. I am your girl, Chassie B.
And I'm Sunshine. Welcome. So we're going to let our guest introduce himself, but we always start with a foreplay. And Chassie, you're first.
Guess who does not have a foreplay? I did not think of what at all whatsoever.
Has failed. Okay, I can do two. I'm a big girl zone. All right, I'm gonna do a ratchet one and a life one. All right, y'all ready?
Okay.
Just a ratchet one. So would you rather find a rat in your kitchen or a roach in your bed?
A roach in my bed. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Because I am terrified of rats.
No.
Nah. I'm going to have to take the rat in the kitchen for $200. A roach, Chastity?
No. I am terrified of rats, y'all. Terrified.
You should be terrified of roaches. I don't.
Yeah, that part.
Roaches scare me, but rats terrify me. I will move out of a house. No.
Really? I can't. I'm with you. I'll take the roach because I take the rat. Excuse me, Lord. I'm about to mess me up. I'll take the rat because I can't stand nothing in my vicinity.
I can squash a roach.
Right.
You know.
At least.
And I can't see it. Nah.
And plus, I had a childhood friend who had a roach crawl in her ear, and she had to go to the ER because she was having an earache.
That one.
I would die.
That's the one.
I would literally die.
That's the one.
All right. So my second one is: would you rather have a pause or a rewind button in your life?
Ooh, that's a good one. Rewind, because I would rewind back to some of the times I should have cussed people the fuck out.
I am so done. How she made both questions ratchet? How'd she do that? Lord Jesus. I cannot.
That's actually a good one. I don't know if my reasoning would be the same as rewinding. I would definitely rewind to make better decisions. Totally better decisions. But then again, I don't know if I want to do that because I probably wouldn't be where I was today. So let's do the pause. Let's hit the pause button so that I can gather my thoughts and, take a little sip before I read somebody like a lecture does on Pose.
All right.
I know that is.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're gonna pause.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna agree and say a pause, but I think we make mistakes in life for a reason because that's a lesson. And we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have mistakes. So yeah, I think I'd do the pause, and then maybe I would make a better mistake if I can pause, like you said.
Make a more reasonable mistake.
There you go. Maybe I wouldn't have drunk and drive like I did back in the day when I used to club and party.
Oh, look, we ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna bring the old stuff. Right?
You preaching again.
Oh man. All right, Chas, you can go on and introduce the guests.
Y'all, we are honored by a celebrity today. Y'all know him as Mr. Pride Winston-Salem 2015, aka Maxwell Parque Divine.
You sound like you smoke too much. Go ahead.
Let me get what you're having.
Go ahead and tell us about yourself, Maxwell.
Well, like she said, I am your former Mr. Pride Winston-Salem 2015, and I go by the name of Maxwell Parque Divine. My birth name is Rod Agnew. There's more to that, but you don't need to know all that. I am 31 years old. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. Grew up in a small county of Tazewell. I now live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I have a boyfriend of 12 years. 12, going on 13. Yeah, it's a long time, right? So we have our own house. We have 2 Pomeranians, 1 cat, like 18 snakes, a fish, and a lot of extra stuff.
And did you say the snake?
He did. He said 18.
Okay.
Mm. That's why he ain't afraid of the rat.
I was over here.
No, I have a little small mini freezer full of them. That's why she said roast. I said.
No, listen, y'all. I used to have a friend that had a snake, and I used to go over there and play with the snake and everything all the time. And one day I went over there, and he had just fed that snake, and I seen that rat in that belly. I couldn't do it.
It's not gonna do anything until you're in there.
Just the thought of it. Okay. Let's jump into it. So Maxwell is joining us because it is June. It is Pride Month. And so I wanted to invite him on so that we can ask some questions that I've always just wanted to know, not just about him, but just about people that are a part of the LGBTQ community. So we're going to jump right into it. So my first question is, whenever you came out, did you come out to your parents verbally, or did you just pop up like, boom, here I am?
So that's actually that is a story. So picture it, physically, 19, no, I'm just like, well, so I actually didn't come out myself. It was an unfortunate event that led up to my family finding out that I was actually gay. So after I graduated high school, I moved to Charlotte. I moved back home to Charlotte, and things weren't working for me there. I am not that kind of city person. I'm more of a Winston-Salem type of city person. Too many people there. So I moved back, and I ended up talking to my ex, and I wasn't out yet. So only one person knew, and that was like a really close cousin of mine. And so it actually was my 18th birthday, on the day of my birthday, and we were at our house. So we actually had a house together at that time, and I remember seeing my brother's father go by, and I was like, "Oh my God, that was CJ's daddy." I was like, so I hurried up and got in the car and sped off. So they kind of chased me down the road. And next thing I know, later on that evening, I got a phone call from my stepfather at the time, a different one. And he was like, such and such called and told your mom that he saw you at somebody's house and that he was, wondering why you were over there and all this, that, and the third. And so then, that's when it finally came out that I was actually gay, and I had a boyfriend at the time. And so it was like a huge ordeal because not only did he tell my mom, he somehow managed to get my dad's phone number and tell him. He called my granddaddy, George, and told him. And so basically he was just going around telling everybody. He even told my best friend that we've been friends since like kindergarten, pre-K, before that. And he told him, and I quote, this is what he said, "You need to watch out for Rod, he is gay." So at the time, my best friend were like brothers. He was like, "Well, I don't really care. I don't understand why you would be calling me and telling me that." So yeah, that was very unfortunate because I didn't actually get the chance to come out and tell people the way that I wanted to. It was just kind of like thrown out there like, "Hey, he's gay." And so I just had to go from there. Horrible. It's like one of the horriblest coming out stories. But there's far more worse, but to me, now that I'm a lot more experienced being gay, because I didn't know how to be gay at first.
I ain't never heard that before.
You're gonna hear a lot of firsts tonight. But yeah, I mean, you know, being in a small town like that, I mean, you're pretty much familiar with Castle County and Blanche and all that. It's like a small city, and we weren't exposed to like homosexuality and, you know, the nightlife of gay clubs and stuff like that. I didn't experience that until I became an adult when I was like maybe 20 and started actually going to clubs. So it was just like it could have been. I think everybody has like their way of they wanting to come out, and that just wasn't my way because it all boiled down to, you know, my mom was in Texas crying and my dad was in Charlotte on the other line, you know, basically disowning me. And then it's just like, I was just left with nothing. Like I had my boyfriend, that was it. So it was a very dark time at that point in time. So I just wish things would have been a lot different, but that goes back to, you know, the foreplay question. Would I rewind it and redo it? Probably not, because it actually made me a lot stronger than I would have been if I would have just probably came out on my own.
That's good. So do you feel like now, like, since everybody has come to terms with it, do you feel like you are accepted, or do you feel like you still receive pushback?
You know, actually, if I wasn't accepted, I really don't care.
I know that's right.
But honestly, I will say, my family is actually pretty cool. I'm not really too big on sharing my personal life with people anyways, so I'm okay with you not asking me how I'm doing at home or how's my significant other. That's really none of your business. But if you must ask, then I'm fine. But even to those who don't accept it or, you know, just feel uneasy about it, I mean, I don't know how to convince you that, you know, I'm just a regular human being just like you.
Right.
We just have different preferences of who we love. I mean, I love everybody, but at the same time, yeah, I'm just attracted to men. And I just,
so am I.
I don't.
Okay.
Period.
Being so serious.
So that was a good one. But yeah, I mean, even if I did get like pushback from people, I keep my distance. I'm just like, well, clearly you have an issue with, you know, my life, so I'm just gonna keep you at a distance. And whenever you're ready to come around, and like we're doing now, having a conversation about it, then I have no problems with discussing, you know, things that you may have questions about, as long as it's not disrespectful.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So my next question is, I know that your boo is he's not Black.
No.
So so I guess you get to see both worlds of white and being gay and Black and being gay. Do you feel like there is a difference?
Yes. Most definitely. Not only is there just a difference in, you know, being gay, it's just a difference in general. Like, you wouldn't believe over the past 12 years how much we've learned about each other. And I'm just like, you do that? Okay. Never experienced that, but it's probably not going to start now. But okay. But yeah, I definitely think there's a huge difference. Even when it comes down to the coming out stories, like our coming out stories are completely on two different ends of the spectrum. Like, he came out, it was just all like, oh, we still love you. And meanwhile, I'm on the other end of the spectrum, just like, gosh, I wish I can just drop dead right now. So yeah, it's literally like, it's so much different. And even though we're an interracial like couple, we'll talk about some things. I'll bring up certain issues, but it's just like, um, you try not to bring race into everything, but you just can't help but to do it because
Right.
of the different backgrounds. So it's like it's always going to be that factor. So yeah, it's definitely a huge difference in between being white gay male and a black gay male.
How does it affect as far as people accepting you guys? Like, do you find that people treat him a little better than you, or do they just y'all both gay? It don't matter.
Well, honestly, I are you saying more so like in the public eye, like
right,
when people look at us from the outside?
right.
I think people really look at us and try to figure it out. So they'll see us both together, and if you look at him, he looks a little bit more masculine than I do. I mean, I'm comfortable with my sexuality and dressing however I want to. I mean, I don't wear women's clothing, but I do wear form-fitting clothes, and so I'm very shapely. So I think they
runs in
look
the
at us
family.
and try to. I think they just look at us and try to figure out like what's really going on here. When we first got together, it definitely was a lot of especially when I came up here to Winston, because I didn't know Winston from Adam and Eve. Like what? I knew nothing about the city other than Winston-Salem State University. Excuse me, sorry. But then, Winston's actually a pretty cool city. It's the surrounding areas. Like the area we live in now, we stay like in Midway, probably about 20 minutes from Lexington. So Lexington is a very conservative city. Davie County is a very conservative county. What's that other county? All of these areas around here, it's just like ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think people will look at him and automatically when we go out to eat, they're like, is this on two separate bills and one? I know that's like a standard question to ask two different people, but and then they'll automatically put the checkbook in front of him. Okay. I got money too. So
Yeah.
But if you want to take his, that's perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, go ahead and give it to him. I ain't gonna hate shit.
Yeah, but I honestly don't really know how people perceive us because, I mean, out of all of our friends, like I said, we're very low key with our relationship. So it's like a lot of people will be like, well, I didn't even really know y'all were together. Well, now you do. But I think maybe if I was to project what people would think, they probably would think that I'm just using him for his money or something. And I'm like, well, no. I mean, I actually kind of got my own money, so I don't really need it. Right. How you doing?
Okay, so I kind of want to switch a little bit and go to sports.
Okay.
Because I know that Caitlyn Jenner has been very vocal about, I know I'm going to say this wrong. That's why I should have had my notes. Is it trans? People that was born male that are now female. Y'all forgive me. I had notes and I lost my notes. I want it to be very politically correct. But anyway.
It would be trans, yes.
Yes, okay. So she was vocal about that she doesn't think that they should participate in sports, in female sports. So I do want to point out that initially I was a little bit on her side because to me, I feel like men are typically stronger than women. And to me, it didn't make sense for them to be in women's sports. But I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and for the life of me, I cannot remember who it was. But they said that once you're on hormones for like years, that eventually they lose like that, I guess that masculine power. And I was like, well then, if that's the case, then I guess I could kind of understand it. So I guess, what are your views on it?
So I guess it kind of, okay, so we'll have to take it from two different perspectives because you have kids that are trans and you have adults that are trans. Adults who are trans, I see nothing wrong with it because, like you said, if you are on hormones, what that does is, especially what kind of hormones you're on. So if you're a male transition to a woman, then you would be on hormones, and then if you're a female transition to a male, you'll be on testosterone. So I really don't feel like I should have to go in a science class, but everybody knows that women have more hormones and men have more testosterone.
Right.
So when men are taking those hormones, it's slowly reducing the testosterone in their bodies, which gives us that extra strength and that extra hair and all of that stuff that comes along with being a man. But then, you know, also making them more feminine and more, or a little bit more fragile than they would, you know, stand next to a man. Versus around when you have a female that's going to a male, they're taking that testosterone and giving them that extra body hair and that extra strength that they need. So it's balancing everything out. So once you've been on those hormones or testosterone for a while, then, you know, you start becoming a different person. You know, a female, she starts lifting weight, and, you know, first off, some of these female to males,
I got real nervous. I got real nervous. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I mean, I be sometimes just like, how will they know? How will they know?
This is true.
You can tell we related, I swear. You done made me lose my train of thought. But yeah, so I really don't see a big difference when it comes to adults. Now, when it comes to kids, I am a little bit more lenient towards that. If a child decides that they want to become trans, and people have this whole perception that, you know, they have this whole perception that when you're transitioning, especially if you're a male going to female, you're going to go and chop your penis off and all this, that, and the third. You know, that's really not the case. So
Right.
that's why we have these kind of conversations, so that you can understand that that's not how stuff works. If a child says that they want to transition, first what they have to do is they have to go through some type of mental therapy, and they have to see a psychiatrist, and it takes like at least a year and a half before they even start to even think about the transitioning process. So it's not like, you know, hey, I want to be a man, or I want to be a woman, and I'm just gonna go and have the procedure done. Like it's a process that they have to go through. So when it comes to kids, they haven't really tapped into that adult energy or strength like they would. So I really don't see, I mean, if you look at it, when I was younger, we had co-ed basketball. I mean,
Right.
who's to say that girls can't play basketball with guys? I mean,
Right.
or like football. I mean, you know, the guys are probably going to be a little bit more stronger than the girls, but I mean, there's some pretty strong girls out there as well. So, I mean,
Right.
if we want to talk about, if we want to talk about, you know, not discriminating, then let's just start there and just, you know, kids are going to be kids. Let them have fun. So if a girl wants to go and play football with the guys, I mean, ain't that what the Little Giants was? Little Becky, the cheerleader? Icebox. I mean, we have all of this stuff, and it's like these different, you know, things that we've seen growing up. I mean, that was the whole point of it. So, I mean, why not? And nobody likes Caitlyn Jenner. I don't.
Yeah, that was gonna be
really
my next question.
We definitely don't like her. So, I mean, she is literally she's a hypocrite. I mean, why would you transition into a female and then say that you don't think that? I mean, if you're gonna be political, then be political. Leave us out of it because you're part of us. So I mean, you're gonna transition to a woman, but then say that, oh, I don't think that trans should be playing an opposite sport like that. I mean, to me, it's hypocritical. it, and I feel like she's literally using that as a platform to get the Republican vote. That's it.
That's what I was about to say. I was so about to say that.
I mean,
I
to
feel
me,
like
that's all she's doing.
yeah, and I feel like yeah, that's all she's doing. I was going to take it a whole nother way, but I decided not to.
Wow.
I'm just gonna leave that alone.
She's trying not to get me cussed out on YouTube. That's what that is.
Right. And we was about to get cussed loud out. So I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Some upset people. There's probably gonna be some upset people anyway.
always. Okay. So we moving pretty fast. You got the answers. What is something that you wish that people understood about the LGBTQ community plus?
I definitely wish they would understand the way trans go, like what we just discussed. I think the biggest thing is like, just realizing that we are actual human beings. Like there's really no difference from people put this separation in between. Like we are our own enemies. Like we put division between race, we put division between sexuality. Like we do all of this ourselves. I mean, I get along with straight people just as well as, I'm gonna be honest with you, when I first came out, I really didn't hang out with gay people because, I mean, like I said, I was new to the gay scene. So, I mean, to me, it was a totally different world. So I'm just like, well, I don't like that person because they're just flaming gay. And so, and I never would have thought at first that when I first started talking to my boyfriend that he was a drag queen. That was new to me because the only drag queens I knew was Tu Wong Fu. And
I love that movie.
You know RuPaul.
I love that movie.
Me too. We'll watch it days and days at a time. But those were the only drag queens I knew. Like, I mean, God. And so when I first seen him in drag, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Huh. Okay. I guess it takes like a special person with an open mind to be able to maneuver through life, because if you are just like, if you don't have an open mind, like I just don't understand how you enjoy life.
Right.
Like if you can literally just sit there and look at somebody and be like, I just don't like you because you're gay, or I don't like you because you're black, then you have got to be one miserable person.
Right.
Yes, but it's a lot of those people.
Who cares?
It is.
Right. Like, who cares? I just don't understand. I mean, I feel like you should be using this time that you have on this earth to, do as much as you can, experience as many people as you can. It's just so much out there other than just hate. And I guess that's one of the biggest things too. Like, why hate? Like, what's the point?
Right.
I don't understand.
That's the problem I have with people, is because they feel like just because they don't agree with what you're doing that they can't like you. And why has that got to be the case?
Right.
Just because that's not something that you wouldn't do, that don't mean you got to automatically hate this person.
Right.
Exactly. And oh my God. So I'm probably going to get some backlash on this too, but the African American community has got to be one of the worst when it comes to situations like this. And I wish there was a way to have like but it's always almost like when I say something, somebody else has to counteract and be like, well, did you hear what I said? Like, did you actually process what the information that I just gave you before you just even counteract or, try to defend yourself? I mean, especially on Facebook, when I go through and see like some of these posts that, like people can say some really mean stuff. Like, first off, people use like the term gay as like a negative term. Like, Oh, that's so gay. Okay, well, first
But
off,
gay means happy.
right? that was getting ready to come out. Do you know the actual definition of what gay is? Um, First, let's start there. Uh, and two, like, what's wrong with that? And another issue is like we like to demasculate. We not even gonna try because I've been
Masculate.
slipping a little bit too much.
Look, I don't even know if that's right.
That,
I was proud.
yeah, I know what I'm
I
trying
think
to
you're
say.
right. Demasculate, yeah.
That sounds better than what I was trying to say. But they will do that. They'll try to do that and be like, this is my favorite one, and I always counteract with this. Well, you just want to be a woman. Says who?
Right.
Who want to be a woman? First off, let me tell you something. I love women. I love y'all. I love the queens and all this, that, and the third. But
I feel
the
a butt
stuff
coming.
that y'all go through on a monthly basis, I just cannot and will not.
Not only just monthly, but childbearing and all of that. Y'all ain't ready.
and won't be. Now, a tummy ache would take me up out of here, let alone
the cramp.
let alone the inside of my stomach coming out. No, thank you. Love y'all to death. You can have that. And so that's why I'm like, well, no, I really feel like, especially African, because a lot of the African gay guys, like, we look up to the women. That's a whole nother conversation on a whole nother podcast.
Well, I actually have a question.
What's that?
So we're speaking about the Black community, and I'm probably going to be a little angry with me. But do you feel like Black women are more homophobic than Black men? And I asked this question. No, I'm going to tell you why I'm asking this question. So I think that, hold on, let me take that back. Okay. I feel like the reason why there are a lot of DL men is because women are very, very homophobic, and they don't want to, how can I say it? I'm trying to think of my correct words. I don't know. I just feel like Black women, I can't think of my words, y'all, but I really think that Black women, a lot of them, they're very closed-minded. And I think even if they was to meet a guy that is like bisexual, let's just say you meet a guy that's bisexual, and it's hard for them to say that they are bisexual to a very closed-minded woman that can't even understand that that's okay for him to be bisexual. He may like men. He might like men last year, but this year he wants to be with you. But they instantly take that and run with, oh my God, he's gay, and tell everybody that they're gay. And then that person kind of like shuts down a lot of times, and they don't be who they really want to be, and then they become DL. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to.
I mean, I agree that situation happens and that women get afraid, but I feel like that's smaller than the percentage of men who are afraid of homosexuals. That's just my opinion, but you go ahead, Maxwell.
That's two different wavelengths there. Let me see here. I think that, here's what I think. I don't know, but I think that a lot of straight women feel like if their significant other or a man that they were trying to talk to had any type of feelings towards another man, that it's a sign of weakness. And I just think that the entire world feel like gay is just a weak being. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. Gay people are not weak at all.
Right.
Everybody knows that. But I think when it comes from that women's perspective, is that, and also they feel like, especially Black gay men are trying to take all of the men, and I'm like, well, that's also not the case either.
You can't take nobody who don't want to be taken.
Period. Like
That goes for
or that don't
men,
want you,
women,
like,
everything.
all across the board. 10, 10, 10, straight across. Um, but I'm just like, I mean, that's not. Do you know how many times I've been hit on? Like, I've never advanced, and I'll be the first one to tell you. Like, look, let me tell you something. I don't know if you know this or not, but I don't even find you remotely attractive. So we can start there. I've had to tell people that, like, this will never happen. I don't know what kind of fantasy you have in your mind, but all gay men do not lust after every man that they see. If that's the case, do you have a bunch of women lusting after you? Point taken.
Probably not.
So let that be. And then once you get to the other wavelength with the men, I just really honestly don't know what their problem is. It's that masculinity thing. Like, once again, people feel like, if you are the same sex, then that makes you weak. And I'm just like, well, no, it doesn't. And then the biggest part is, why is it always gay men? Like,
right.
There's a whole bunch of lesbians out here too. Y'all don't care about them? Like, they don't bother you? Like,
but gay men and lesbians are treated differently. For what? I don't know. But
way
they are.
differently.
Way different.
Way differently. It's just like, I mean, I think it's because, and that's another thing back to the women, is like, well, I know plenty of women that's been experimented in college with another female, and what they call a phase. And I'm just like, well, what if a guy told you that he experimented with another guy in college? The whole scenario would be a different story. So
right.
It's unfair, it's uneven. It should be straight across the board. If you experience with a girl, then she experienced with him. What does it matter? Like, I really wish that people would get that stigma of sex out of their mind, because sex is not. And that's another thing. They just think that all gay people just want to have sex. No. Once again, we're humans just like everybody else.
People. Okay.
Right. People in general either do or they
in general, like, look, if I've been working all day, I don't want to come home. That's just me. Like, I mean, that is just straight like that across the board. I think if we can just get that whole discriminatory mindset out, then, I mean, they would just be a lot more better on their side. But, that also sounds like just, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-esteem issues. Yeah. I mean, if you are that uncomfortable, then you need to work with self, because, I mean, no man should make you feel less of a woman because he then decided that he wanted to sleep with another man. That's just not how this works. It's not how any of this works.
Right.
And that happens a lot within our community.
Mm-hmm.
We have to blame everybody else for the problems that we have in our life. If it ain't gay men, it's white women. If it ain't white women, it's prostitute, whatever it is. Like, we have to blame everybody else instead of doing some self-reflection, figuring out what the problem is.
Period. And that's another thing. Like, I know with this whole, I mean, we've been dealing with this whole Black Lives Matter thing, and like you said, my boyfriend is white, he's 6'3", white, and I'm not gonna say his weight because he'll probably kill me. But but I mean, I've seen people make posts where they say, if you are in an interracial relationship, then you can't be about this. And I'm like, well, first off, what's that got to do with me being Black? Because at the end of the day, I'm still Black.
Right.
Whether I'm with somebody of a different race or not. And that's, I mean, I'm all for Black love, yes, God. But I ran into mine, and he just don't happen to be of a different race.
Right.
Is that an issue? No, not at all. But don't tell me that just because my significant other is white that I can't be pro-Black. That's just not how we're going to do any of this. Because if we're out in public, then I know how this scenario is going to cross out if anything goes down.
Right.
So I'm still fighting for myself.
And it's gonna take more than black people to fix the problem with the world. I don't know why people think it's got to be just black people that follow Black Lives Matter. Like,
Listen,
that's the problem in the first place. We need to unite as a people. But anyway, that's another podcast for another day. Go ahead.
Ain't it? And I will tune in for that one.
But I want to go to the comments right quick before you go on, Chaz. Jenny Jen, I don't know if she's your friend. She said she agreed with what was said earlier. It's the Bible thumpers. And I'm gonna add this part. That's the issue. She didn't say that's the issue, but that is a lot of the issue in our community. Okay. Which is funny because I'm in the church community and I can't figure out for the life of me how you can treat gay folks or people that's sinning so badly, but you doing all that judgment in the meanwhile. Ain't judgment just as big as being some of these things y'all say that's wrong? But anywho, I ain't trying to get fussed out. And then she also
don't get me started.
And then she also said she agrees. She thinks it's more so the men than it is the women that has an issue. So just wanted to throw that out there. Go ahead, Chess.
So I do want to say that after I said what I said, I don't recant what I said, but a lot of the Black female friends that I know are very, very closed-minded. I will say probably about 90% of my friends are closed-minded. And then I have 5% that are like very free, like kind of go with the flow. But 90% of these of my friends is very closed-minded, and they would be like, So I think that's where my generalization came from. But maybe it is more men. Maybe it is. But I know a lot of women.
Well, I think more so when it comes to the men that they put on a charade that they're disgusted by it. I'm not saying, look, by all means, I'm not saying that every man is gay. I am saying that in my lifetime, I have been approached by a lot of men that you thought were not gay. And once again, I will hit them with a no. It's like people have to understand, and I think that they get like these perceptions of what they see, because there can be some gay people that just really, really irks your nerves, and they are out here doing everything like they can to, make themselves seen or, make a scene out of nothing. But most of us are not like that. Every group has somebody like that, but you can't generalize all of us in that same group.
For one person.
What the white people say, y'all, you can't generalize all of us with the racists, because, well, if you're not saying nothing about it, then you're just as guilty as the rest of us. So, I mean, why are you quiet about it? If it's that big of an issue, then speak up and say something.
Right.
Yep. Why are y'all always protesting? Because we tired. We are tired.
Look, don't get us started on this Black Lives Matter. That's next week.
No, okay.
That's next week. Make sure y'all tune in. That's next week.
We'll definitely be there.
I do have a question that's not on Chastity's list. I hope that's all right.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
So one thing, I don't have nothing against the gay community. I want to put this disclaimer out there. It's just understanding for me. Okay. It's just understanding. There's not a lot of places you can go and get great understanding. So I do watch RuPaul's Drag Race. I love that show. Church folk don't judge me, but I watch every season faithfully. The question that I have, it was one contestant on there that was a woman that changed to a male to dress up as a drag queen. Please help me make that sense.
Oh, yeah.
Please help me.
I don't even think that he can understand.
What was her name?
I don't remember her name, but I was like, what was the point of changing to a man just to dress up as a woman? It didn't make sense to me. Not that I was judging. I was just trying to understand.
Yeah, because that was on the last season, and I would say that she was actually like one of the fierce ones on there, like one of my favorites. But I think, okay, so I think people have a misconception about drag as well. Drag is not men dressing up wanting to be women. Drag is like a form of expression and art. and women just so happen to be at the top of that list. And this is why I say, you know, women, y'all are actually flattering. Like that's why, that's why, and I think that's why they feel like it's a competition. It's really not. Like, you know, a lot of gay men look up to women because women are the ones who raised us. Like, you know, there were no men present in lives, and so all we had was the illusion of a woman. And
Bars.
so, I mean, that's really where most of that comes from. But drag really actually comes from way back in the day when men were dressed up and women actually didn't have a role to play in the actual play. So men played the men and the women. So that's where drag actually originated from. And I tell people all the time, I was like, your founding fathers, the ones that y'all, you know, worship, they wore wigs and heels.
And heels. I was going to say it. That's what heels.
Yeah.
Out there looking pasty as a piece of paper with some blush on and a dry wig. So, and y'all are sitting here looking at drag queens sideways, and I'm like, technically, heels weren't made for women; they were made for actual butchers. So I didn't know that. But yeah, back to the.
I just recently learned that. I said, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, like gay people and drag have been around for so long, and it's just like we repeat the same things over and over every year. Like once people realize that this is just the same thing occurring over and over again, then we'll just be at a better place. But yeah, men been wearing wigs a long time ago. But as far as that whole dressing up thing, it's like actually very liberating being on stage. I actually know real girls who one of my closest friends, Lovely Jackson, she's a femme queen. And there's a femme division where real girls come in and they dress up like drag queens. And they actually compete against each other. Yeah, like y'all could actually dress up like drag queens and compete against each other and, you know, be the reigning.
I need them makeup tips, okay? I need them makeup tips.
So I mean, it's just like it's just a fun form of art and expression and just letting go. Like you know, now everybody is not as creative when it comes to their crafts and stuff, but like, you know, I taught myself how to sew when I became an entertainer. I literally sat in front of a broke sewing machine and cussed for days sewing. And so I looked at many of YouTube videos and I was like, okay, I got this. And finally, I started sewing my own costumes, and then I started making my own back pieces. I'm in the process of making one now for a show that I'm in next week that I signed up for. And that's another thing. We be signing up for stuff, and it's like, oh my God, I got to do this. But at the same time, it's fun. But yeah, it's just like, that's what drag is. It's not just dressing up as a woman just to be a woman. It's, you know, it's like a whole little outlet. I mean, these stage names that we have, like Maxwell Parque Divine, the stuff that he wears on stage, I wouldn't dare wear in public. But all of his stuff is see-through. Like what I look like walking down the street with a whole see-through cat suit. So no, those are alter egos. Those are, you know, the people that, you know, I think growing up as a child, like most of us have like this imagination of being like celebrities and stuff, because, you know, back in the day you didn't see gay people on TV like you do now on mainstream television. So you know, you come up with these personas and stuff, and so when you actually become of age, then you become that persona once you get on that stage. So and I think with her, she had like a whole, I'm trying to remember her story, but all I know is she was sickening, and she made these sickest costumes on it. Her and Utica. A lot of people didn't like Utica, but I like Utica.
Utica was just weird, but she was creative.
She really was, but she could sew the house down.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at RuPaul. I need to look at it. I got another question. How come a lot of drag shows is on Sundays? Y'all know I got to go to work.
Actually, y'all dragging on the Lord's Day. Now I'm just playing.
I be wanting to go, and I'm like, they have it. It's like every time I want to go to a drag show, it's always on a Sunday.
no, that's definitely not the case. You should ask me because a lot of the drag shows are on Fridays and Saturdays. Depending on where you're at in the state, some clubs are Sundays are pageant days. And so that's where we have the pageants at. And that's even worse because either I'm back up dancing for somebody or I'm just there supporting somebody. I've only competed in one pageant. I plan to do more. I'm just a procrastinator and I'm just like, no. So I ended up back up dancing for more people than I have competed in pageants. But no, the shows are normally on like Friday nights and Saturdays.
Okay, I'm gonna have to start asking.
You
Because
just
every
gotta
time I
know.
see
You
something,
just
it's
gotta
always
know
on
which one to
Sunday.
go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta know which one to go to and which club and which queens to actually see. But I'm not getting ready to talk about them folks right now because you know I'm gonna take a sip. Drag is very different. I will say that drag is very different from when I first came on the scene. I'm all here for progression, you know. And I guess when it comes to the drag scene, you could say that I'm one of those people that's just like stuck in their old ways because I'm like, well, I feel like a drag queen should wear titties and hips, and when you're a drag queen impersonating a female, then And here's the thing, they'll be like, well, all women don't have breasts or, they don't have hips and stuff. This is very true, but I mean, most people don't come to see, I don't want to say that, but most people want to come.
They ain't coming to see a washboard. I got you.
I really honestly don't want to talk about people's drag like that because, I mean, even in the gay community, you would be surprised at the discrimination that we go through, even within our own community. Like, so when I'm a male entertainer. So what I do is I'm just a male entertainer. I wear costumes, back pieces. I know, and it's always hard to explain people to that. And I'm like, well, I'm not that male entertainer. And then when you say I do drag, it was like, oh, well, girl, no, I'm a male.
I'm a male
that wears makeup and put on costumes.
Right.
And so when you think about it, like people will be like, well, that's not really fun to look at. But it's surprisingly a lot of entertaining males here in North Carolina that, some venues won't. I'm not going to go down there. I feel like I'm just trying to bring all the gay problems over here and dump them on this.
Dump them on us. Go ahead.
We're not gonna do that. No, thank you. But
we'll take a panel. We'll do it. Let's go.
Trust and believe that the discrimination is high as I don't know what, and not even just in the drag scene, but just like in the dating scene as well. Because do you know how discouraging it is to it's I guess it's a little bit more difficult to date in the drag scene in the gay scene because it's easier for a man and a woman to, go out in public and run into each other and be like, oh, it's a little bit harder to be gay and, unless that person is actually gay and you sitting there kind of like throwing hints and stuff and what if they ain't gay for real? Like, It's just really awkward. So we have websites that we go to and that's how, you would meet each other. And do you know how discouraging it is to, especially when I was younger, back in my dating days, but seeing them say no fats, no blacks, no femmes, no Asians, and all this, that, and the third, like there is a lot of racism in the LGBTQ community. And that's why I always say, like, imagine being black and gay, like double whammy. Here in America, like not only are you having to defend yourself against the actual world, but you're also having to defend yourself against your own community, being the African American community and against the gay community, because it's just so much resistance coming from every way. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm very surprised that the suicide rates for African American teens aren't as high as they are, because like, if you don't have anybody to talk to, then it's really hard. But at the same time, like, this is where the poor decision making comes in, and then so you go out and try to find that love somewhere else, and you don't have that guidance from somebody that's been out here to tell you, hey, you need to make sure that you're being very careful because there are some trifling people out here. There are people out here carrying diseases that won't tell you, and they're just out here giving it to everybody. And that's how the HIV and AIDS rate is just blown through the roof because nobody is getting that talk. I definitely didn't get that talk, but I was a different breed because I was a little bit more careful after the first time. So I was just like, yeah, no, we're definitely not going to do that again. And so we're just going to play it safe from here on out. And so if you don't have that kind of mentality, I can understand how people would just make poor decisions and just not think. So, yeah, terrible.
Terrible. You got any more?
Hold on, what was I gonna go to?
Well, I got one. While she waiting.
Okay, go ahead.
So in my world, in my world, I work with a lot of people because I work in marketing and outreach, and I have to be aware of, well, semi-aware. I ain't gonna say I'm fully educated, but aware of what's going on in the world. And pronouns seems like it's the thing right now, like knowing the pronouns, knowing exactly what it means, blase, blase. So the one pronoun that I completely don't understand is, I think it's them, their.
They and them. They and
them. There. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That one tricks me up, and I try to understand it, and I feel it does not resonate. It does not resonate to me.
So can you explain to us folks who do not understand what that means? I understand they mean they don't relate as a boy or a girl. I think that's what people tell me, but please explain. Educate us.
So when it comes to that term, I think it's just more so like what you said is they just prefer not to fall under a category of him, his, or she, her. They just rather not be, affiliated with an actual sex. Like just call me them or they. Like look at them over there. Like I mean, when them is more than one person, it really confuses me too.
Though.
But
right. Like how do you address them within conversation?
You would say them or they.
But I have honestly been praying that I do not encounter anyone who has pronouns of them and they, because I know that I'm gonna mess up. I already know. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know I'm gonna mess up because it doesn't make sense in the way that I learned English, even though I'm not even a proper English speaker. But it makes sense in my brain, and I try to make it make sense, but it doesn't make sense. I would rather just call you by your name. Like just call me John, call me Tina. Don't say her or he or something like that. Just say John. Just say I can do that.
That would definitely make a lot more sense. And like you said, when it comes to the most difficult language in the world, English, like, when you think of them, you're like, oh yeah, them over there. It's like, well, it's only one person right there. So where the rest of the people at?
You looking crazy.
So it's just like, so I will be the first one to tell you that I can also be ignorant when it comes to certain things in my own community, because when they started adding all these extra letters, I was like, oh wow. So
I'm glad
throw
you
the whole
said
alphabet in there, and we'll
just looked at me crazy when I said LBGTQI I can't keep up.
We're not gonna do that.
I don't mean no judgment, but I'm just saying, like, we already don't understand.
Me neither.
It. Then you adding all this extras, like.
It's when I first heard of the last updated one, I was like, well, what does other letters mean? I don't understand, because back in the earlier days it was just LGBTQ, and then I was like, well, what does the Q stand for? And they was like, well, queer, and I'm like, oh, isn't that gay? And
right.
So
what's the
I
difference?
learned just as well as everybody. So technically, well, I'm still learning on that too. if you're not learning, you're not growing. I swear to God. So even within my own community, I swear I would be like, well, what does that mean? And I'll tell you the first thing that I really didn't understand, that I've grown to get to know a little bit more. So there are actual female to males that date men.
Yeah, that's what Caitlyn Jenner went male to female, but date women.
Yes.
And I was like, that didn't make sense. I ain't gonna say it don't make sense. It's just weird to me.
Well, no, I can understand it in as well. See, at first I didn't understand it. That's where the ignorance come in. I'm just like, well, that just doesn't make sense. If you're transitioning, wouldn't you be wanting to date the opposite sex? Like, it didn't make sense to me at all. But, you know, once I started researching and, you know, I was getting ready to use that word, conversing with people. I got to make sure my people ain't watch me because I am the grammar police. I will correct somebody real quick. And I was getting ready to say conversate right on out my mouth.
I'm told right myself. Okay.
But once I got the full knowledge, and so even though they're transitioning, trans means that you are transitioning to another, like you were born in the wrong body. Like your mind is completely in the wrong body. So once I started to understand that, okay, well, even though they're transitioning, this is because they felt that they were supposed to be an actual male. So and you know, what is gay or what is homosexuality is, you know, sleeping with the same sex. So if they felt like they were supposed to be a male, then it shouldn't be an issue that they're actually dating another male, because that's just who they're actually still attracted to. So once I started, you know, just getting that actual knowledge about it, because I actually know quite a few people that are in these kind of relationships, and I would tell my boyfriend all the time, I was like, I just don't understand. I really don't understand, like, why is this happening? But again, after just getting that knowledge, I was just like, okay, it makes more sense now. So yeah, that's why I'm like, if I don't know something, I definitely would tell you I don't know. Right. So what all the rest of them letters mean, I don't know. Right. Anything after Q, I don't know.
That part. Maybe
like the plus just covered everything.
Androgyny, I don't know. So let's just say.
Well, if the plus cover everything, we could just say plus. Wait, got to be covered. Sorry, that might be ignorant sounding. I apologize, y'all. But
hell, me laughing is ignorant, and I understand that they want that. I understand that they want that inclusion as well. So if you have the LGBT community, it's not just LGBT, it's LGBTQ, element of P. It's the rest. So
we're not gonna do
that. Yeah. I'm loving it.
So everybody wants to be included. So I mean, right. if that's the case, then more power to you. I mean, I am willing to learn the rest of what else goes in the alphabet of LGBT.
Right. I want to go to the comments real quick. Eric Roche, I apologize for saying your name wrong.
Roche, I know him.
Roche, okay.
Put some respect on it.
I'm gonna say they because I don't want to be wrong. I'm loving all of this conversation. I feel like people need to see this more. Just being open about how you feel and what you think without anyone getting mad for someone not understanding love this. And I totally agree. I feel like more conversations like this need to happen, and we need to take feelings out of it and just be honest and ask questions. And that's not even just to deal with gay people. That's race. That's anything. I like me personally, people used to be like, just be real. People used to be like, how you hang out with so many white people? I mean, because we got understanding. Like, they ask me questions, I ask them questions. Like, it's fine. We don't get mad. I don't get angry. They don't tell me all I eat is watermelon and chicken. Like, they just ask questions. I ask them questions. We good to go. So I'm being funny. But it's real, though. I feel like more conversation like this needs to happen. Most definitely. And then they also said, I like to say, it's not about who you go to bed with. It's about who you go to bed as. And they said
Amen.
and they said they heard that on Glee.
Yeah.
That is very true.
That's my first time hearing that. I actually like that. Like,
me too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to write that down. I'm gonna put that on a shirt.
Like, who cares in your bed? Cares who you're sleeping with? I don't.
I mean, really, it's your
if
business
I don't
at
like
the end of
them,
the
I
day.
will tell you.
Right.
People got
Like,
too
how many
much
bills
time
in my
on their
house
hands.
is anybody paying?
No, not a penny. Not a penny.
I tell people all the time, look, if you ain't paying a bill in this house, what goes on inside these four walls ain't none of your business.
Right.
That part.
Let the church say it.
Won't he do it?
Yes, he will. Chaz, you got any more questions?
I got one more. What is something that you hate that non-LGBTQ people do and you wish they would stop? Like, as far as whenever it comes to supporting y'all, or because some people I be feeling like be overdoing it sometimes.
Look, okay, all right, I got one. I want people to start being honest. Stop lying. Just stop. So, I know that there's a line of being supportive, but there's also still a line of being a friend. If you see your friend and they are, okay, let me put it like this. So your friend want to do drag.
Okay.
You got a gay friend. Like, oh yeah, they want to do drag, and I just said the third. Okay. And this person pulls out some stuff out of their closet and decides that they want to go and do a drag show. That's not okay. That's never okay. No.
Wait.
What? I explain again because I missed it.
Okay.
So they wear some rainbow outfits, is what you're saying?
Well, not so much that. So you know how y'all seen drag queens, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You seen good. Take RuPaul's. Some of them are RuPaul's Drag Race. Like I said, drag is expression of like art and artistry. Now, this is very ignorant of me as well. But once again, it comes from what I've experienced as a drag queen, or not a drag queen, but as in the drag community, that if you want to do drag and be taken seriously in this community, then you should do research. I actually backup dance. I dress drag queens. I've watched plenty of videos that had something to do with drag before I even put on a costume and gave myself a stage name and jumped on stage. So and even when I did that, it started off. Yes. Because people just think it's just dressing up, and this is not Halloween. And I don't know if y'all ever noticed really, but a lot of drag queens or a lot of people that's in the drag community and like on Halloween, that's not a day that we dress up and go out, because we do that every day of well, not every day, but we do that throughout the year. That's just, right. And so that's what people think that drag is. It's like a big old Halloween costume fun fest throughout the year. No, it's a lot of preparation, and I mean, if you can see,
it's like a pageant.
Back in the day, well, yeah, like when we really don't do it anymore. Like I do it every now and then, but he's just about sold all his stuff, so he's like, I'm out. But like the preparation it takes to get ready and the amount of money that you spend to get on stage and perform, and the energy it takes out, like it's a lot. And so it's not just going to Target or, you know, I don't even know if they got Debs anymore, but it's more than that. And some people will be like, well, instead of judging them, you should just be giving them. I'm giving you criticism. I'm telling you, do not do it. Do not just get up there and as mean as this sounds, people are gonna talk about you. And so I'm here to be the friend to tell you, no, do not do that. Right. Do not support that kind of mentality. If you want to be supportive, just be like, well, have you done any type of research? Or, you know, have you, you know, gone to a bar and, you know, checked out the scene and whatnot? And, you know, just kind of get a feel for it before you just want to jump into it. Because a lot of people think that, you know, they're just going to get on stage and become a celebrity overnight. No, that's not how none of this works. Right. So be supportive and tell your friends no. It's okay to say no.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
I do.
Well,
so was that your way of telling me that I can't come and do a drag show?
We're not gonna touch that.
Do, then you,
don't. We're not gonna touch.
You might want to come by here first. You're gonna do some of them flips and tricks and splits.
Girl,
I got asthma.
Y'all been to ER. This was her.
Me too. Me too. Do you know how many times I've been hunched over in the floor after a show? Like, oh my God, y'all, I cannot breathe. And they'll be like, we haven't called back. I will be there in a minute.
That part. Well, we have been on for 1 hour and 13 minutes. It seemed like it went by super fast. So thank you so much for joining us. Please tell people where to find you if you want them to find you, what your social media are, where they can see you at and your shows, whatever, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh yeah, so you can find me on Facebook at you can type in Maxwell Parque Divine, let's see here, and it'll pull up my actual. I wasn't fortunate enough like everybody else to have 2 separate pages, so all of mine is just combined in one. So you can just put in Maxwell Parque Divine on Facebook. I'm pretty much on there a lot. I'm on Instagram a lot too, but I'm on there to talk with my friends and share memes. Also, now that COVID has kind of been released her grip on the world, Pride Winston-Salem Festival will be back. And so we will have that on Saturday, October 16th. We are literally the last Pride in North Carolina. So typically we have good weather. So we have a parade, we have food trucks, we have 2 stages. We have a main stage where the formers and the currents will perform on, and then we have a community stage which everybody loves. That's where most of our out-of-town drag queens and kings and male entertainers come to, and you can also go there. We also have the Pride Winston-Salem pageant that will be happening in September. We just went over this Saturday, and I think it is the 14th, the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be on a Sunday, but if you want to follow me on Facebook, then I will definitely update you on that. Or you can follow Pride Winston-Salem on Facebook and Instagram, and you can keep up with all of the stuff that happens there. If I do have a show, I will be on a flyer and I will share it, but more than likely I just do shows every now and then. I am in a show next Saturday. It's a brunch. We love brunches the older we get because I don't like staying up late. But I will be in a brunch, but those are sold out, so you'll just have to catch me at the next one.
Okay, sold out. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Chaz, for being the lead on it and having these excellent questions. Thanks everybody who tuned in. We post episodes every week. So some of them are live, some of them are recorded and posted, but you can usually catch them on Wednesday or Thursdays, which next week will be live as well. And we'll tackle in some more of those Black Lives Matter or race issues, things of that nature. So please, if you're on here, please like, follow, subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And you can also always hear these on most audio platforms like Apple, Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Google, you name it. We on it.
Everything.
So, so Matt, so you don't go, but
it.
thank you for all the ones who had tuned in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.